Awesome. Hi guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I'm a huge fan of all three of you. So thank you. This is really a treat. I just finished the movie and I thought it was a lot of fun. I have 10 minutes. I'll get right into it. James, you are a great character actor. But oftentimes you're not the lead character. You're not like, the most important part of it. And so what was it like to step into this lead role playing Lane in the film?
Oh, I think, for me, the trap is to think of it differently than any way that I would think about coming in and doing like one scene in a film. I think you got to approach things the same way. But that being said, I mean, John Swab sent me the script and I love the movie. I love his writing. I love the movie. I love these two gentlemen right here and the way the storylines mix together. But yeah, it was a good role. I'm not an idiot sometimes.
That makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to like treat it like it's a whole different thing. Um, Michael, so in this you play Ramon, and I'm wondering what about I guess James just mentioned the script and how great that was. And so I wonder what about it drew you into this character that is maybe a more nuanced depiction of a uh, typical type of, I don't know, narco type character that you would expect.
Well, I was attracted first of all to the cast and, Ben Foster, James, Melissa Leo, um, Graham Greene, I mean, Richie Coster, George Carroll. There's so many wonderful people that worked on this. John Swab, our wonderful writer director, and Jeremy Rosen, our producer. And those guys are just like really independent artists doing their own thing in Tulsa, and they've been doing it for multiple films. So I was really attracted to the group, I think first and foremost. That's what got my attention. And then the idea I'm working on a music album that I'm releasing next year. And when the script came, I thought it was a great kind of role to escape from the studio hours that I've been in. And what I loved about this character was just the kind of like a modern day pirate, ex-military who sees the corruption on both sides and is just going to sort of like take care of his children amidst this chaos and not have a moral compass one way or another. And what's beautiful about the writing is eventually his humanity starts to crack, and he starts seeing the bigger picture without taking a side. So yeah, it was just like James said, it was a no-brainer.
And I love that you mentioned all the cast and the crew. I mean, that's really humble, I think. Ben, one of my all-time favorite movies is Hell or High Water. By the way, this so thank you. And this year you've had a big year. You have a lot of projects that have been coming out. You have a lot of stuff on the way. And so I am wondering, with all these different projects, we talk about the independent style of John, and I wonder what was that like? What was maybe the most exciting part about the actual filmmaking process of this film?
John Swab, a writer director, has lived 11 lives of a cat. He's a guy who continues to give back to his community. He's seen both sides. He's still connected to the street and cinema. He's a young guy. His filmography is mind blowing. Um, and his insight into the complications of this fentanyl crisis from all levels, he went so deep. He was going deep into prison. He was going deep into the suburbs. He's going deep into FBI. He's going deep into SWAT. He's going deep with the cartels. This is a guy who inserts himself into the world for authenticity. And for me as an actor, there's nothing more attractive than being able to ask questions with the real people.
Yeah, I mean that's such an interesting way of thinking about it. And Swab is a filmmaker that I personally really like. I've seen so many of his films. James, I think one of the things I thought the most about this is how it's a very bleak film that, but it also has these sort of exciting parts of being an action thriller while also balancing the real world drama of the fentanyl crisis in these things. And I'm wondering, as the protagonist, how do you I don't know, how do you behind the scenes maybe try to balance these things so it's an exciting experience while also keeping it grounded?
You know, I think you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, that grounded element is because of John Swab and the writing and the storytelling that we're trying to what we are doing as a team, as a crew, you know. Um, I tried to approach this in very much just a very workmanlike effort, you know. As these circumstances unfold for Lane, it's happening in real time. He's right there with the audience. He's not a step ahead, and the issues at home and with his family, to me, that had to be um, approached in a very personal way, and then you know we would move outward from there. You know, so when you get to the action days, that's just the fun stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like the break from it. Uh, Michael, what I think about is how, I mean, it's hard to not draw some comparisons with your character in Better Call Saul, which is just such an incredible show. And I do wonder, though, as you play certain characters who do share a lot of similarities, maybe in terms of experience or in personality, how does each project maybe inform you on how to play that character the next time? Like, do you take stuff from how you played Nacho in Better Call Saul and add new elements in? Like, how does that change the way you act?
That's a great question, Cole. It's funny, you know, I did when the script came and I realized it was a cartel character, I thought, you know, I just did that. But the characters to me were so different. I think Ramon Garza is so grown up. He does walk to the beat of his own drum. He's completely independent, very true to himself, and very complicated in the sense that he is very moral. I think that's what maybe you're referring to. They're both moral characters. Nacho Varga in Better Call Saul is very moral, and Ramon Garza also is capable of morality. I think there's major differences that I thought was appealing. It was like a color palette, and there were different shades of the same color that Ramon was playing with that Nacho never touched. And one of them was that I think Ramon really walked to the beat of his own drum. He was completely independent and was in total control at all times. And I think Ramon was aware that he was doing something wrong, but had found his way out of the guilt because he's seen corruption on both sides that are calling the shots, as opposed to Nacho Varga, who really wants to do the right thing at the cost of his own life. But what's interesting is they both come to a similar conclusion at the end. I won't spoil it, but there's that great scene with James, who I love as a person and actor, and that scene at the end was that's a whole other story to talk about. But that scene was changed at the last second and revealed an element of the character. It was changed on the day of, I think, like 5 minutes before we shot it. It was a completely different scene. But anyway, that scene reveals the crack in his humanity as well. So I think that's where they're similar. That's the only point where they really intersect, I think.
That,
I
yeah,
hope
thank
that
you.
didn't make any sense, but whatever. It's the best I
That
could do.
made that made sense to me, I promise.
Thank you,
And
Cole.
that's really interesting behind the scenes. I have one last question, and so Ben, I wanted to, I mean, James and Michael in the film, they look about the same as they normally do, but you take on like a very big like physical transformation in it. And I do wonder, when you see something like that, does that draw you a lot more into the role? Is that something where it's like, okay, wow, I can be like totally different? Or I don't know, what's your thought process when it's like, okay, your character has to have that like trachea thing and you're entirely different?
It wasn't in the script. Smiley was Smiley, and he's an enforcer for the Irish mob. My family, as many families, are touched by cancer. Uh, art is associative, or film is associative, and as Mando just mentioned, he's like the scene changed last second, and that's the beauty of John Swab, is that he integrates all creative ideas. I came in with an idea of just saying, you know, a lot of survivors of cancer are still fighters, and why not make an operator somebody who has something to fight against? And he was down.